growing number of Democratic senators are now calling on President Biden to get tougher with Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu, following the horrific strike on a World Central Kitchen convoy that killed 7 humanitarian workers. Virginia Senator Tim Kaine released a statement calling the Israeli strike a boiling point, adding that, quote, "The current approach is not working. That progress needs to be made on freeing the hostages and establishing a ceasefire." And joining me now, pleased to say, is Virginia Democratic Senator Tim Kaine, who serves on both the Foreign Relations and Armed Services Committees. He's also the author of a new book, an extraordinary new book, Walk, Ride, Paddle, A Life Outside. And that's just out today. Congratulations on the book.
Thank you, Andrew.
A remarkable book.
Very exciting. Very exciting.
I want to talk to you about that. Let me just ask you quickly about Israel, because Israel has acknowledged this was a mistake. There's independent reporting. We've seen the New York Times and others saying that the mistake suggests real problems with their command and control, with the way they authorize strikes, but the way they're conducting the war, not just this one incident.
Yes.
We know they can do it. They can do these things, you know, and target people. We've seen this happen just recently in Syria when they want to, whether they're right or wrong, but they can do it. But to miss every signal here. So what should happen now? Should the president now be conditioning aid? Are we going to wait until something worse could happen?
The president pushed successfully Prime Minister Netanyahu last week to open an Erez border crossing to get more aid into Gazans, which was very important. And you see in days since, the pace of deliveries have increased. Israel has turned water back on into Gaza. Israel is allowing bakeries to reopen to make food for Gazans. This should have happened months ago. It's taken way too long, way too long. This needs to be a war against Hamas, a group that would annihilate Israel, but not against Gazans and Palestinians. I've made that point plain to Israeli leadership, but it's taking way too long for them to draw a delineation between a war against Hamas and make plain that they're going to provide humanitarian support. So I applaud the president for pushing hard last week. We're seeing some changes, but it is inadequate and it's far too delayed. And so we need to do a bunch more.
Would you support conditioning aid, military aid, going forward, especially if, as the Prime Minister says, he goes into Rafah without giving the U.S. a plan for doing it in a targeted way?
There's nothing I put into a budget that I don't put conditions and restrictions on. If I'm writing a budget for the Department of Agriculture, it's not a blank check, and it shouldn't be a blank check to anyone. The president, at our urging, announced a new security policy in February that says if you are receiving U.S. security assistance, you have to use the assets in accord with international law, and you have to cooperate with U.S.-supported humanitarian efforts.
And they have to certify that by May 8th.
They do, and I believe Israel's falling short of the second criteria, and so much more needs to be done. I have also urged the president in delivery of aid to Israel to restrict it to defensive weapons. Israel has to defend itself against Hamas, against Iran, against Hezbollah, against the Houthis, against militias. Let's help them defend themselves. But there are weapons that are primarily offensive in nature, and we should hold those back.
Is the Israel aid now going to scramble whatever compromises might be reached on the Ukraine aid? Tony Blinken just said today, getting that aid to Ukraine is imperative. We know from President Zelensky they're running out of ammo and they need American weapons. They need the weapons they can only get from the U.S.
Andrea, as you know, the Senate vote on this, Israel aid, Ukraine aid, humanitarian aid into Gaza, Taiwan, was overwhelmingly bipartisan, 70-29. That bill's pending in the House. We're just back from a recess. The votes are there on the floor. The question is, will Speaker Johnson allow the package to be voted on, or will he allow a slightly different package to be voted on? But when the votes are there, I always believe we'll find a way to get there, and I think we will.
Do you think that they'll end up taking Israel out of the package because you'll lose some progressive Democratic votes in the Senate, for instance?
You may
to get Ukraine done.
You may end up losing some votes on both sides. There are Republicans who will not vote for some of the Ukraine aid. There may be Democrats who would have a question about Israel aid, but that wasn't the case in the Senate bill. And the Senate vote on the supplemental package, it was 48 Democratic yeses and 3 noes. On the Republican side, it was 22 noes and 20 yeses and 27 noes. That's right.
These aid workers. Let me talk to you about the book, because this is extraordinary. You've written this book about this journey you took, and it was after the 2016 election when you were turning 60. You had been mayor, governor, Peace Corps volunteer before that. You'd been in public life forever, then senator, and you had been the vice presidential running mate for Hillary Clinton. And so you decided to walk the Appalachian Trail, and not only to do that, but to do basically a triathlon in Virginia, walking the trail, you know, canoeing the James River, you know, all of this, biking. And then the first person you met, the first people you met were Arab Americans. Talk to me about all of that and what catharsis this was for you.
Andrea, I think, you know, after the 2016 election, I did something I often do in hiking. You wake up, if the weather's bad, you just stuff everything in the pack and start walking. There will be time later to sort it out. That was what I needed after 2016. I just came right back to the Senate. John McCain came and found me in the office and said, you and I are the only people that know how you're feeling right now. You've been on a national ticket and lost. The secret is to go right back to work. And I did. I worked hard, won my re-election in 2018, but then I thought, okay, I've turned 60. I'm celebrating 25 years in public life. What do I do to commemorate this? And I decided, let me do a kind of a love letter to Virginia. And I created this quest: hike the Appalachian Trail in Virginia, 560 miles, bike the Blue Ridge Parkway and Skyline Drive, 320 miles, canoe the whole James River, 350 miles. It took me about 30 months, but I learned a lot about my Commonwealth, myself, my country. It gave me time to reflect on the strange events I was living in between the start and stop: 2 impeachment trials, attack on the Capitol, COVID, long COVID, disputed presidential election, George Floyd's murder, and racial justice protests. All of it happened in that envelope of the journey. So the journey is a nature journey, but it's also a reflection about a most unusual time in American life.
You went through so much. The country went through so much. What did that journey teach you about how we can come together? I'm thinking about the eclipse and how the country was celebrating joyously, even those of us with a partial eclipse. What did you learn basically about America and yourself?
Well, one thing I learned is, so I'm hiking shorts, unshaven. We use trail names. My name's Dog Bull, so that's how you introduce yourself. No matter what your politics, people love the outdoors and want to protect it. Everyone in Virginia has a sunset, a beach, a lake, a river, a mountain that they not only love, but they want their grandkids to be able to experience it. So in nature, as you say, with the eclipse, what a unifier yesterday, the motley crew of people I was standing next to and enjoying it with. So you learn about the commonality of human experience in nature. That's an important thing. I think I also had a chance to reflect upon moments in our life. Why are we going through some challenging times right now? And I thought a lot about the book of Job. Job is suffering, and he wonders, is the universe pointless? And friends say, no, you're suffering because you must have done something wrong. Even if we don't know about it, you're being punished. The reader of the story knows it's neither of those things. Job is suffering because he's being tested. Will you hold fast to your principles, even under adversity? And because he did, what was lost was restored. And I had a chance to think about that story and realize it can be true about a person. It can be true about a society. I think our nation's being tested, and we haven't yet passed it. We're surviving the test, but I don't think we've yet passed it. That's how I came to interpret the moment we're living in right now, as I was walking in hiking shorts, you know, in the rain in the Appalachian Mountains.
Well, as a neighbor of Virginia, I love the Virginia countryside. I was just there Saturday. Mm-hmm. And it's so beautiful, the Blue Ridge and all. And this book, I love the cover, by the way.
That is a mile from my house in downtown Richmond.
Well, all of it, starting with your Peace Corps service. Thank you so much.
Jesuit missionary, but
Jesuit missionary. Sorry, it wasn't Peace Corps. Mm-hmm. Okay. In Honduras?
Yes, Honduras. Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you for everything.
Great to be with you.
You too. And the book is Walk, Ride, Paddle, A Life Outside, and it's out just today. And read it. It's inspirational.
Hey everyone, MSNBC has a new and improved app. You'll get real-time alerts and analysis, live blogs, in-depth essays, video highlights, and the best 2024 election coverage. Download the new MSNBC app. Here's how to do it. You tap on the App Store on your phone. You hit search on the bottom right corner. You type in MSNBC. You click on the MSNBC app. You click on Get or the cloud icon and enjoy it.